Released on June 17, 2022 to a mixed but overall positive reception, Mech Armada is a mix of roguelike with real-time strategy. Using an army of combat robots constructed from nanotechnology, the player is tasked with combating hordes of aliens across various post-apocalyptic environments. Developed and published by Lioncode games for Microsoft Windows via Steam, this is their first and so far only title. In the present day, Earth is suddenly invaded by hordes of alien monsters known collectively as the Swarm. Despite humanity's best efforts, the monsters manage to overwhelm Earth's defenses and force the survivors of humanity to flee into underground shelters. 28 years after the Swarm's invasion, a lone scientist manages to find a way to create weapons and vehicles from scratch via nanotech. With these mechs, a faction created to combat the aliens, known as the Armada, is established. It is this faction that the player leads, constructing, researching, and constantly upgrading their titular Mech Armada into a force capable of besting the Swarm. While an interesting premise, this opening cutscene is the only story present in the game, with it essentially devolving into an excuse plot for the rest of the game. It should also be noted that we are only able to cover the first few hours, so there's a possibility that there could be more cutscenes in subsequent levels. As for the gameplay, it's rather simple and straightforward. The player as the Armada can spawn mechs, move them across the map, and have them attack any enemies that are within range of their weapons. Said weapons can range from conventional machine guns and flamethrowers to more powerful and futuristic laser weaponry, with the latter being unlocked or buyable as the player progresses further. The Swarm can likewise do pretty much the same actions, save for being able to spawn more of themselves. Their attacks, on the other hand, mainly consist of melee or close-range attacks, with the boss units able to launch a long-range shockwave attack that can instantly destroy any mechs in range. Once the first map is cleared, the player will be given a choice on where to progress next to the campaign map. It is here that they can be given the choice to either deal with more enemies or alternatively receive free resources or mech upgrades. In between battles, it is also possible to upgrade mech blueprints and existing mechs by purchasing new parts and then transforming them. These upgrades improve the mech's HP, weapon capacity, damage, and range, allowing them to go toe-to-toe against more powerful Swarm adversaries. While it is indeed simple, the game is rather difficult, even in the early levels. Resources are very limited, upgrading mechs and purchasing new parts is rather expensive. And Swarm monsters can and do become harder hitting and more durable following the introduction. And most annoyingly of all, if and when all your mechs are defeated, the player is forced to start entirely from scratch, with all purchased parts having to be unlocked or bought again. At the end of the day, Mech Armada is a rather mixed bag that requires some more time in the oven. While the gameplay is rather easy to learn and the story and premise are rather interesting, the story could use some much needed expansion upon. Meanwhile, everything else works against the player, particularly the Swarm becoming ridiculously overpowered to the point of being nearly impossible to defeat. Hopefully, future updates to the game would give players access to more resource unlocks and better weapons at more reasonable prices, or alternatively balance the Swarm's early game presence to a degree that makes it difficult but not impossible. If you're a fan of the science fiction video games like XCOM, of mecha franchises like Pacific Rim, or enjoy playing real-time strategy games like StarCraft, then Mech Armada just might be worth checking out. What other mech-themed games do you want us to try out? Let us know in the comments below. Until then, this is GameMate Information Station signing off.